Right. So previously we were doing income and substitution effect for normal good, in which there was a derivation that your demand curve will be a flatter curve because we're talking about luxury good. We're talking about normal good. So it indicates that the good is elastic in nature. All right. Now let's take the same case of price decrease and draw the diagram of inferior and Giffen good. The case is that your price level is falling. Price of good X is falling, which is an inferior good. All right. So if the price of good X falls, this means that my real income will rise. My real income will rise. And if my real income is rising, demand for inferior good will fall. All right. So this is the case that I have to draw. Now, according to my fatwa, which I told you earlier, that first you have to draw budget lines only. And then what you'll do is you'll further show the link of derivation and you will explain it. All right. Now, this is your derivation. This is good Y. This is good X. This is price of good X and quantity of good X. The first step is to draw budget lines only, and then we will move towards our indifference curves. Now, this is your initial budget line AB. This is your initial budget line AB. And due to decrease in price level, your budget line will tilt rightwards like this to AC. All right. So AC is a budget line which you will get after a reduction in your price level, after increase in your real income. But what if there was no reduction in real income and your price level is falling, but there is no change in real income? Now we have to show a parallel shift, that is EF. All right. So your first step always is to draw budget lines only, and this is your EF. The next step is to find X. This is where you get your X. So the next step is to find your X. This is the X position. And on X position, you'll get one indifference curve, which is creating an equilibrium at two budget lines. IC, this is your first one, E. All right, this is your first equilibrium quantity, X, X and X. And this is your new equilibrium, E1. And this is your new equilibrium quantity, X1 and X1. All right. This is what is going on throughout. This is your fatwa diagram. All right. Basic fatwa. Now we are drawing the diagram of inferior good. And from X to X1 position, this is your substitution effect. Everything clear in fatwa? Everything clear in fatwa? Right. Good. Now we have to show inferior good, and I'm operating at quantity X1, which means that the new equilibrium quantity will decide whether my good is normal or inferior. So I'm operating at X1, and inferior good says that if your income level is rising, your demand should fall. So you should move backwards. Your new equilibrium should move backwards. So to show the concept of inferior good, your new equilibrium quantity should be within this box. All right. It should be within this box. So your new equilibrium will be here. Your new equilibrium will be here. IC2 equilibrium T2. And this is your equilibrium quantity X2 and X2. All right. X2 and X2. See, this is your overall equilibrium change. So this was your substitution effect. This will be your income effect. So your income effect is in the opposite direction whenever we talk about inferior good. It is in the opposite direction. All right. And because it is in the opposite direction, what you'll do is, and also it is an inferior good, it is a low quality good, and usually low quality good is a necessity good most of the time, not always, but usually the general explanation is that inferior good is usually inelastic in nature. So you'll draw a steeper curve like this. All right, a steeper curve like this, and we have to show the concept of total effect. See, this is your substitution effect, this is your income effect, which means that there is a minus sign going on because they're moving in the opposite direction. So this will be your total effect. This portion will be your total effect. Initially, this was the equilibrium. This was the price level. All right. Then this is the new equilibrium and this is the new price level. But because inferior good is necessity in nature, your quantity will rise by a very small percentage, whereas your price level is falling by a very large percentage. Everything clear? So why does E2 come in between E and E? I will tell you about it. Why does E2 come between E and E1? But apart from that, everything clear? Okay, so when we were talking about normal good, in normal good, income effect and substitution effect, they both move in the same direction. But in inferior good, income effect and substitution effect, they move in the opposite direction and substitution effect is greater than income effect. So this is inferior good. Now, if we talk about Giffen good, same case, Giffen good, your price is falling. And according to Giffen good, if your price is falling, your demand should fall as well because there is a positive relationship, right? Fatwa will always be the same. There will be no change in fatwa. It will always be the same. Now from X to X1, it's the substitution effect. But when we talk about Giffen good is a good which is more inferior than an inferior good itself. So if this is the range in which we were talking about inferior good, so to show the concept of Giffen good, your new equilibrium should exceed this box because this box is specifically for inferior good. Because it is not a normal inferior good is not a Giffen good, but a Giffen good is more inferior than an inferior good. So Giffen good will create an equilibrium over here like this. IC2, equilibrium E2, and quantity X2. All right. And from X to X1 is your substitution effect, but from X1 to X2 will be your income effect. From X1 to X2 will be your income effect. All right. And we have to link the total effect diagram in the derivation. So this is your substitution effect. This is your income effect. Only this portion left is your total effect. So we will draw an upward sloping curve like this. An upward sloping curve like this. Like this, a normal upward sloping curve. This is your demand curve. This is your demand curve. This was your initial, sorry. This is your initial price level, that is X, initial equilibrium. Now, as there is a fall in your price level from P to P2, this will contract quantity from X to X2, and there will be a new equilibrium position E2. Everything clear? And we will erase this portion. We will erase this portion from the derivation. All right? Everything clear? Done? All right. Now in this case, in this case, your income effect and substitution effect are moving in the opposite direction, but your income effect is greater than substitution effect. So this is an indication of Giffen go. Clear? All right. Now I'm giving you 10 minutes. Draw both of these diagrams and send me the picture on WhatsApp group because I want to see that if your diagrams are correct or not. All right. So you have 10 minutes. Just copy paste them in your notebook. All right. So now what if the case goes something like this? Now what if there's an increase in price level? If your price level is rising and I'm just drawing a fatwa diagram and then we'll move on to the cases, different cases that normal, inferior, and given. Where will be the new equilibrium? Okay, so now if we are talking about necessity good, in necessity good, there will be no change. Your equilibrium quantity will stay the same, and your new indifference curve will be over here, right? All right, so let's move to an increase in price level. Price level is rising, and we're talking about normal, inferior, and given. This is good Y, and this is good X. All right. Now, this is your initial budget line, AB. This is your initial budget line, AB. Due to increase in price level, regardless of normal, inferior, or given, your budget line will tilt inwards like this. This is your AC. All right. This is your AC. And this AC is after increase in price level. So before increase in price level, your budget line will be like this. All right. Your budget line will be like this. And this is your EF. Everything clear up till now? Now you have to find X. This is your X. There will be one indifference curve which will be tangent with both of these budget lines and will create two equilibriums over here like this. I see. This will be your initial equilibrium point E because this is your initial budget line and this is your first equilibrium quantity X, and then equilibrium will be here X1. All right. Now this is your fatwa for increase in price level. Now if we are talking about and we are moving from X to X2, this is your substitution effect. So now if you're talking about normal good, your normal good will be here at point A. All right. Because if your income level is falling, your demand should fall as well. If you're talking about inferior good, it should be within this box, point B. This is inferior good. If your income level is falling, your demand for inferior good should rise. And if you're talking about Giffen good, it should outweigh your substitution effect. Giffen good, if your price level is rising, your demand should rise as well. So what students, what is the mistake that you guys do is that your shift is like this. So if your shift is like this, you will not be able to tell the examiner about Giffen good. So your Giffen good, for your Giffen good, your budget line should outweigh this box. Your budget line should outweigh this box. All right, clear? Okay, now the mistake that I was telling you, that students, when they draw the new budget line, the old budget line AC, so they are not able to go beyond this box. They are not able to go beyond this box. You see, this is your AC and it is restricted to this level only. Now you can tell normal good here, you can tell inferior good here, but you will not be able to tell Giffen good, because for Giffen good, it should outweigh this box. It should outweigh this box, right? So you have to be very careful that your AC, that budget line AC, is crossing this box and it is going beyond this box to show the concept of Giffen good. All right. This is the problem that you guys do in your exam. All right. Now, I'm showing you a question and I'm giving you around 5 minutes to draw a mark scheme of this question. That how will you start this question? What will be the sequence? And what will be your evaluation conclusion? What will be the diagrams that you will draw in this question? All right. So you have time till 12:20, around 7 to 8 minutes to make a mark scheme. All right. And then we will discuss this question. Go on. All right. So the question is, with the help of an indifference curve diagram. Now, when the examiner tells you to draw the indifference curve diagram, it is mandatory for you to draw the diagram. Assess the extent to which a rise in price would affect demand for a normal good differently from demand of a given good. So the examiner is specifically asking you to draw the diagram of rise in price, that your price level is rising. So this is the diagram that you will draw in your exam, the fatwa diagram of price increase. And then this is not how you will draw it. You will draw separate diagrams for all three of these nature of goods. This is just a diagram, an accumulated diagram, that where will the indifference curve create a new equilibrium if you draw a rise in price level. So the question goes that using indifference curve analysis, what will happen to normal good and given good if there is a rise in price of that good? All right. So take a look at the mark scheme. This is May, June 24, paper 41. You'll start by explaining indifference curve analysis, MRS, what is a rational consumer, what is utility. You have to explain, define budget line, slope of budget line. This is how the indifference curve analysis creates an equilibrium, the first one. Now, see, in this question, this is not a question that relates to policy. So there is no as such benefits and drawbacks where you are going to write the benefits of given good and drawbacks of normal good. So this is not how it goes. You have to clearly differentiate between normal and given. So you explain normal and given, you draw the diagram and you write proper explanation over here. All right. Then for your evaluation and conclusion, majority of your part will depend upon the criticism of indifference curve analysis. That what is the problem of indifference curve analysis? How is it irrational? How does it not exist in reality? So these are the problems that you have to discuss. The difference in demand response between normal and given good is mainly due to how the income and substitution effects interact. For normal good, substitution effect dominates as price rises, as consumers switch to alternative. But for given good, negative income effect is stronger. We just learned about that. However, the extent of this effect also depends on how easily substitution is possible, when which is shown by the shape and slope of indifference curve. The steeper the indifference curve suggests, if the indifference curve is steeper, this suggests a weak relation between two commodities. But if the indifference curve is flatter, this suggests a very close relationship between commodities. Furthermore, real world consumer behavior often doesn't fit neatly into the theory. People may not react to price changes instantly or rationally, and factors like habits, brand loyalty, or imperfect information can alter the outcome. The indifference curve model assumes perfect rationality and choice, which limits its accuracy in predicting actual demand. Add few criticism of indifference curve theory from the notes. All right. So in conclusion, in theory, Giffen and normal good behave very differently due to relative strength of income substitution effect, but in practice, the difference is less clear cut. The usefulness of indifference curve analysis lies in showing the mechanism behind demand changes, but it needs to be applied, with caution in real world. Hello? Huh? Right? Everything clear? So this is your assignment which you have to complete and upload on Google Classroom, all right? Okay, take care.